My name is Dr. Lauren Bennett, and I'm a clinical neuropsychologist here with the Pickup Family Neuroscience Institute. Today, we're going to be discussing practical memory strategies. This will be a two-part talk. Our first portion this evening will be on lifestyle interventions that you can do every day to help support your memory functioning. Our second part tomorrow evening will be on practical strategies, both internal and external tools that you can use to support your memory functioning each day. We'll begin today by talking through our lifestyle pieces. So, what I'd like you to do as we begin our time together today is to think about your own life. And as we move through each piece, we'll reflect on what you're doing well and what could be improved upon. I want to begin by saying that some changes are normal as we age. So as I'm sure many of you have experienced, normal aging it's totally normal for there to be a decline in day-to-day functioning with your memory. So things like recalling upcoming events or recent conversation details, those will be more challenging day to day. What's different though is that there will not be the big memory changes that you're used to. So if you think that the memory changes that you're experiencing exceed normal aging, those kinds of day-to-day changes that we said, perhaps taking a bit longer to come up with a person's name or to recall an event, if you feel your memory changes are beyond that, then I would encourage you to seek follow-up with a medical provider. Your primary care provider would be a good place to start. You can ask any questions that you have to him or her. And if you're also curious about how your memory is doing overall, we have a program here at Hoag called the Orange County Vital Brain Program. This program allows an opportunity to have a brief memory screening. There's 45-minute appointments where you can come in, answer a checklist about healthy brain aging, and then also take a verbal memory test to see how you're doing compared to other individuals of your same age and educational background. That'll help us get a sense if the changes are, again, in line with what we would expect for normal aging, or if they somehow exceed what we would expect, and then it might be good to follow up with a neurological consult from there. If you'd like more information, you can visit our website at www.ocbrain.org. Let's dive into our talk. As I mentioned, today we'll be discussing lifestyle support factors that can help to make a difference. So as we open, I'd like you to think through this checklist. If you have a piece of paper handy, pull it out and make 2 columns for me. First, I'd like you to, as we make our way through, note 3 things that you feel like you're doing well. And then in the other column, I'd like you to think about, as we move through the factors we'll discuss today, what are 3 things that you could improve upon, areas where you could do better to support your memory functioning. I'll give you a moment to write that down. All right, so the first thing will be no surprise, it's physical health. What we know from decades of research is that our physical well-being is directly correlated to our cognitive functioning. So, primary care providers are a great first stop to discuss any chronic care conditions that might impact your memory functioning. These are things like high blood pressure, high cholesterol, diabetes. Again, what we know from the research is that all of our cardiovascular functions have a direct correlation with our memory and cognitive performance. So we don't often think about things like our cholesterol impacting our memory functioning, but they can absolutely be directly connected and have a negative impact if our cholesterol is not under control. So for practical tips, I would invite you to work with your medical providers to manage your chronic conditions. Be sure that you're taking all of your medications as prescribed on the same schedule that your doctor's prescribing them. These can, again, get away from us very easily, so make sure that you're using a checklist or a pill keeper to help monitor and make sure for those days when you're like, have I taken it? Have I not taken it? I would also invite you to be proactive about your care. What that means is that I want you to be really assertive when you think that something is off. It's important that you be vocal with your primary care provider and any specialist that you might need to follow up with if you feel like something is not going well in your health care. is often intimidating for folks because our primary care providers are so busy. But be sure that you come in with a list of your questions and concerns written down for each appointment so you can be sure that you address all of your areas of concern and make sure that you're, again, positively advocating for your health. Another piece of monitoring your physical health is also keeping up with your medical appointments and annual physicals. Particularly as we age, these become more essential. And again, while we may think about these just in terms of our physical health, what we know from the research, again, is that these directly correlate with our cognitive health as well. How well you're able to day-to-day function in terms of not only memory, but things like processing speed or how quickly you're able to come up with information. Also, our executive functioning, which are things like higher level skills, planning, organizing, all of the multitasking that you might do throughout your day. Making sure that you're medically sound and your physical health is in check will help to ensure that you have a proper foundation for cognitive health. And on a related note is our nutrition. So what we know from the research is that what we put into our body, again, has a direct impact on our cognitive functioning. So it's very important that you talk to your healthcare providers about what diet might be right for you. There are different diets that can be appropriate with different chronic health conditions. You may have heard of a few of these, something like the Mediterranean diet, or an adaptation of that is something called the MIND diet. The acronym is MIND. And those are two diets that might be appropriate for you to support not only your physical health, but again, really make sure that you're cognitively firing on all cylinders. I would encourage you to reach out to your primary care provider and to see if these diets might be appropriate for you the next time that you're in for your regular visit. I would also encourage you to think about selecting nutrient-dense foods. So again, think of your food that you put in your body as fuel, not only for your physical body, but also for your brain. You may have heard this fun fact before, but our brains consume the majority of our calories, a higher proportion than any other organ system in our body. So what we need to do is to make sure that we're really putting in foods that are, again, nutrient-dense. Things like leafy greens, healthy fats that you might find in oils, fish that you've often heard is often healthy for most folks, omega oils as we look at. We would invite you to try a new cooking class or look for a healthy recipe. And you may have seen on Hoag's YouTube channel, if you've been hanging out with us the last few months, we've got really excellent content now on how to select healthy foods. And even some fun new recipes that you can try, different snack ideas, so be sure to check us out. Next, and again on this related physical note, think about physical exercise. So this is often one where I get a lot of groans from the audience, and so no one's here, but I'm just imagining that you're all groaning at me. This is really quite true. What we know again is that the physical exercise helps to support brain health. What should I aim for? 30 minutes a day, 5 days per week as our target, our minimum. And the question I often get is how hard should I be exercising or how hard should I be working? And the rule of thumb here is that you want to be out of breath. It should be hard for you to carry on a conversation. Now, a word of caution here. Before starting any new exercise program, it is advised that you check in with your healthcare provider to make sure that it's safe for you. Also, a note of caution here. I don't expect anyone who's not been physically active to go out and run a marathon tomorrow. In fact, we do not want that. I'm sure you're all signing up for marathons right now. But what I do invite you to do is to start small. Start with a walk, 2-3 days a week if you're comfortable. Add from there. You can add in length, in distance, in days per week. Start small and increase as you feel comfortable. Make it harder as you feel like you're able to do it. I would also invite you to incorporate stretching and strength exercises into your daily routine. Same idea here. We know that strength training in addition to cardio training is quite positive in terms of our cognitive functioning impact. So by sneaking those things into your day in a way that make them feel easy to do, not cumbersome or not like they're taking away from your time, I often tell folks even think about doing a few push-ups while you're waiting for the microwave to ding, or incorporate a stretch on your bathroom tub while you're brushing your teeth. Anything that makes it feel like it's just a normal part of your day And it will be helpful because the cue of brushing your teeth or every time you're at the microwave will serve as a reminder that you could incorporate that kind of physical activity into your day-to-day functioning. We also have some really excellent exercise content again on our Hogue YouTube channel. So there's lots of really wonderful resources out all over the internet these days for all kinds of exercise programs. The goal here is to make it fun and to make it not seem like a chore. Try a few options, shop around, see what works for you, and then bookmark on your computer anything that seems like a good fit so you can revisit it later. Staying on our theme with exercise, let's talk about intellectual exercise. So, when we think about an overall picture of what can help us stay cognitively sharp, we want to be physically active, we want to be socially active, and we want to be intellectually active. The very worst thing you can do is become a couch potato as you age. So, regardless of what age you are, there's really wonderful, easy, and hopefully fun ways to incorporate some intellectual activity into your day-to-day. Some of these will sound familiar. You could do puzzles, join a book club. So it's not enough just to do the reading, but I really want you to be thinking about it in a new way, challenging yourself. Again, bonus points if it includes a social interaction like a book club. Again, that can be a digital or virtual book club at this time. Also, another silver lining of some of the COVID situation is that there's a lot of academic courses that are available low cost or no cost online right now. You can take courses from a number of universities across the country, so see if there's something that might interest you. Philosophy, ancient history, a language course, or something more recent like a world history course. Whatever it is for you that's interesting, go for it. If you're more interested, you'll stay engaged throughout it. One of the best things that we can do for our brain is to learn a new skill. So I mentioned this before, but think about learning a new language or a new instrument. Anytime you're going to be engaging your brain in this kind of new activity, you're going to form new neural connections, meaning that the neuron networks in your brain will form new connections between one another. That's one of the best things that we can do over time to help to support neurogenesis, or the creation of new neurons in the brain. There's also some really easily digestible programs that are out there on the internet and on smartphone apps today that I want to touch on. These are things you may have heard of like CogniFit, CogMed, Luminosity, all kinds of brain training exercises. And often folks will ask me about these different programs. The science behind these programs is admittedly mixed, but the good thing is if you're doing it every day, it's better than the alternative. Many of these programs are available, again, low cost or no cost. There's an app, for example, called Elevate that's available for free. There are in-app purchases, but you could check out that idea or other similar apps and see if it's a good fit for you. If you're not the type of person who's going to learn a new instrument or a new language, this might be a good alternative for you. So consider what you'll actually do in your day-to-day life and try to incorporate it so that, again, it doesn't seem like a chore, but it seems like something fun, new, interesting, and engaging. Next up, I'd like to touch on sleep hygiene. So we don't often think about the correlation between memory or cognitive functioning and sleep. But as you might imagine, and I'm sure you've heard pieces of before, that while we sleep, we consolidate our memories. So sleep is actually one of the most important functions for helping us learn and cement the knowledge that we've learned for a given day. What's really interesting is there's been prior research on naps. So if you have two groups of individuals, one who learns a skill and then naps, one who learns a skill and then has quiet, engaging activities like meditation or quietly sitting with their thoughts or journaling, what we know is that the group that naps actually will do better on a recall task after that same amount of time of the individual who did not nap and instead engaged in meditation or journaling. So, sleep is essential. It's necessary, it's universal. All organisms have a sleep-like cycle. We are not immune. So no matter how many all-nighters you pulled in college and you think you can do it, it's not actually the reality. What we know is that we need good quality and quantity sleep. This differs from individual to individual. There's no magic number about how much sleep you need. For most adults, it's somewhere between 7 and 9 hours. Trial and error will be your best friend here. See when you feel best. Set your alarm for 8 hours, set it for 7 the next night, perhaps 9 the night following, and see how you feel. Listen to your body in terms of what it needs. I also will encourage you to think about the quality of sleep that you're getting. So it's not just the quantity of sleep, but making sure that you're having as few interruptions as possible and deep, restful sleep, so your body has an opportunity to go through all of the sleep stages, including into the deep sleep stages. What that means is make sure you're limiting light, noise, sound. I know many folks are engaging in home improvement projects right now. This might be a time to finally hang those curtains in your bedroom, or perhaps invest in a sound machine if there's a noise issue. Try earplugs, try the sound machine, try different settings to see what works best for your sleep. I also would encourage you to make sure that your bedroom is comfortable. So make sure your temperature is comfortable, you have appropriate blankets, the good pillow, all of those different pieces. And the biggest one, especially in this day and age, no devices in the bed. I'll repeat that. None, absolutely no devices in bed. Not a cell phone, not a computer, definitely no computer games or video games. If you can, try to leave your device in another room and use a good old-fashioned alarm or an Apple Watch or similar smartwatch as an alarm instead. What we know from the research is that the blue lights that emit from those devices are incredibly detrimental to our sleep. So at least 1 hour before bedtime, power down. Make sure you're engaging in a relaxing nighttime routine. For a lot of folks, that's perhaps a cup of herbal tea or a hot shower. The reason those strategies are effective is because as we fall asleep, our bodies naturally move from a hotter temperature to a cooler temperature. And things like drinking the cup of tea or a hot shower can actually help to kickstart that process and cue our body that it's time to go into a sleeping, relaxed state. If you are struggling with any sleep apnea, that's perhaps your bed partner has heard that you're gasping for air or that there's periods of time when you're not breathing, or if you're experiencing any insomnia, having difficulty falling asleep or staying asleep through the night, or having any other unusual bedtime behaviors, kicking violently in your sleep, acting out your dreams, make sure that you seek a consult with a sleep medicine provider. We have a wonderful sleep medicine program here at Hoag, and you can visit their website if you have any more questions about sleep conditions. Social engagement. So I touched on this a few moments ago, but I want to make sure that this one's really underscored in this particularly challenging time. It is essential, not just for our mental health, but also for our cognitive health, that we stay socially engaged. I'll add to that there's been really powerful research on the physical health impact of social engagement. So, what were the 3 things that I mentioned a few moments ago? We want to stay physically active, intellectually active, and socially active. And I see a few folks time to time who this is really challenging for. Perhaps they've really been more stay to themselves or kept to themselves across the years, that they don't necessarily enjoy interacting with other folks. So I would invite you to think creatively. Find a way of interacting with folks over a topic that's meaningful to you. Doesn't have to be 20 people. It can be 1 person that you regularly interact with. But I do need you to find some way to stay connected with friends or family or your local community. In this challenging season, I would invite you to think about a local community or volunteer group that might be digital or virtual. So there are options like meetup.com, there's an app and a website called Volunteer Match, Instameets, Nextdoor has connection opportunities, and a website called Active. All of these options have digital platforms as well where you can connect with folks, find volunteer opportunities that you can do from home as well. In this season, again, it might also be a time to get creative about what your prior social groups looked like. So perhaps you have a group of friends that you can now do a book club with, or plan a trivia game over Zoom, or start a current event discussions group. Whatever it is that's interesting to you that you'll actually engage in, look for the opportunity to with this hopefully increased space you have in your life now, to really find opportunities to connect with folks in ways that are meaningful for you. Again, it doesn't have to be a big crowd, even 1 or 2 friends and meaningful connections across your week. Along the same lines here is mental health care. So what we know from the research is that making sure that we're managing our mental health symptoms is directly correlated with our cognitive functioning. That might be new information for a lot of us. So things like depression or anxiety can, over time, impact our cognitive functioning. What that means is that individuals who experience depression or anxiety in their middle-age years, who do not seek treatment and get those symptoms managed effectively, they're more likely to experience what we call mild cognitive impairment and dementia. Mild cognitive impairment is a precursor, or can be a precursor, that develops into a dementia process. So it's essential that we manage and appropriately treat any symptoms of depression or anxiety or other mental health symptoms you might be experiencing during any phase of your life. We'll have some resources listed at the end of this talk as well, but I want to make sure that you know that you can reach out to a number of resources in our community locally here digitally, and a number of groups that are popular, things like Alcoholics Anonymous or Narcotics Anonymous, have also gone to online platforms so they can meet those needs of the community during this challenging season as well. Consider daily routines that will help you to prompt your mental wellness or support your mental wellness, thinking about your mental wellness. So this might be something like journaling or taking a mindful walk, meditation, or engaging in a regular support group. And I use the term support group really loosely here, so it can be a group of friends that you just regularly check in with, or a phone tree perhaps, or one individual calls the next. Or it can be a more formal support group for depression or anxiety or symptoms that you might be experiencing. Again, whatever meets your needs in this time, I would invite you to think about how you can get creative and to make sure that you're really caring for your mental health, again, in the interest of your cognitive health as well. So, how did we do on our list? I'd invite you to pull out that list. Hopefully you've been making some notes as we've gone through. Think about the 3 things that we covered today that you feel like you're doing well on, and perhaps 3 other things that are areas where you could improve. Take a moment and fill that out if you haven't yet. And now I'd like to just spend a moment talking about how to make changes. So as we touched on, hopefully no one's signing up for any marathons tomorrow, but I do want to invite you to think about how you can make small changes in your day-to-day routine that can have a big impact. So as you're thinking about your list of 3 areas where you're going to focus, think about setting realistic goals. These are going to be small, measurable, very realistic goals for you. So write those goals down and invite you to make a schedule. So for example, if the goal is to walk for 30 minutes 5 days a week, this next week, perhaps you start with 1 walk. The week after that, the schedule might be 2 walks, 3 walks, and so on. Find something that works with your lifestyle and again will be attainable. It's very important that you're able to meet these goals in order to support these positive changes and to reinforce the changes over time. So when we're looking at our list of 3 things that we'd like to improve, I would invite you to think about focusing on 1 area this next week. Then once you feel like you've reached the goal that you'd like to in that area, focus on your second goal and incorporating aspects of that goal in the same way while maintaining the gains that you've made towards your first goal. Again, it's very important that these not be huge, earth-shattering or lifestyle-changing goals, but rather that they can fit relatively seamlessly into your existing lifestyle and that you can build upon them each week so that they become habits. Before we move on to questions, I just want to take a moment here to share some mental health resources. Again, I've got some resources not only in our community, but nationwide. So first, you'll see the NAMI Warm Line. This is a phone-based, non-crisis support line for mental health. And I've listed the phone numbers there as well as the hours they're available. There's also a live chat option that's available on our local NAMI website, which is namioc.org. Below that, I have the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration disaster helpline. And there's both a 1-800 number where you can call and the text number there where you can text talk with us to the number listed, and that you'll get a text message back. We also have some local Orange County based mental health resources, and that phone number is listed there, 855-OC-LINKS. Here, if you're experiencing any suicidal thoughts, so the reality is that our suicide lines have been a lot busier during this COVID time for understandable reasons. A lot of folks are feeling discouraged or hopeless, and if you're identifying with any of those symptoms, I would invite you to please call the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. The number is listed there, but it's 1-800-273-8255. You can also again text TALK to 741-741. It's available 24/7, it's anonymous and free. As I mentioned earlier, a number of the substance abuse groups have gone online and are offering phone meetings or over internet meetings. So check out the resources both through AA and NA to see if those are appropriate for you. And finally, if you're experiencing any intimate partner violence, more commonly known as domestic violence, there's a hotline number listed there. There also is a number of community-based resources for general financial assistance, given the hardships that most and many folks are experiencing during this time. So if you've experienced any kind of general needs related to, again, the season of COVID that we're currently in, I would invite you to check out the NAMIOC.org/COVID-19 info for a list of available online supports. We're going to transition to questions next. While we're doing that, I just want to again remind you that if you feel like you're experiencing any memory changes that exceed normal aging, so again, as we age, our memory does slow down a bit, that's normal. If it feels like it's out of sync with your friends who are a similar age, make sure that you then check out any of your primary care needs through your primary care provider, or visit our ocbrain.org. All right, any questions?
We don't have any yet, do we?
Oh, all right. Well, thank you so much for joining us this evening. We'll be back tomorrow with Practical Memory Strategies Part 2, where we'll cover internal and external daily strategies that you can use to help you remember better. Thanks so much for joining us.